What's up, St. Louis? This episode is proudly sponsored by our friends over at St. Louis Closet Company. Jennifer Williams and the entire team over there are absolutely amazing. Ever since we first met them a couple months back to run one of the biggest giveaways we've ever done on Instagram, they just gave us some new swag. We got some amazing new hoodies for fall weather. We're going to be giving it out to our guests. But more importantly, St. Louis Closet Company is woman-owned right here in St. Louis. And if you guys are looking to get organized and get your life back on track, stop by their showroom at 2626 South Big Bend, or give them a call at 314-781-9000. Thank you, St. Louis Closet Co. Love you guys.
If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune in to the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, hey, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, this city is a place we call home. A place we call home. Yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? It is episode 94 today, and I'm your host, Marissa Farrell.
I am your other host, Lucas Farrell. And first of all, I just want to take some time with the holidays here and thank everybody for tuning in to another week of the STL Bucket List Show. This is episode 94. That means we've been doing this show for 94 consecutive weeks. We're getting close to that 100th episode early next year. Got to shout out our friends over at stlouisarts.org. The Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis does so much to support local art and art programming right here in St. Louis. And without them, we wouldn't be able to do this weekly show. And then, of course, our friends over at Four Hands for keeping us our thirst quenched when we're thirsty. St. Louis Closet Company, Wine and Cheese Place, so many great local companies in St. Louis that support our show and continue to support our show as we grow. So
Yeah.
We got a special episode today, though. We have Food City, an amazing nonprofit right here in St. Louis. We got the COO, Darren, and then we got the founder, Jan, in the building today. We feel very special to have you guys both in here together, and we got a crowd today. So
It is a full house. You guys are VIP.
First of all, how are you guys
you
doing? You guys had an exciting day today, right?
It was awesome. I mean, we got to go see the hip hop of St. Louis, and it was so beautiful.
So that's a bucket list thing that people have to do.
You have to.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, you get to, because you'll see these people in your neighborhood. You'll see them everywhere.
Yeah.
And
They did an incredible job with
it
that.
was so beautiful. Yeah, it felt so good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Check it off your list,
And then you
guys.
got to get
gotta
meatloaf today, too?
And I got to have meatloaf at the Panorama. Check that off your bucket list. It was fantastic. I was so surprised.
Big fan
No
of the
offense.
meatloaf.
Yeah.
Hey.
No, but for real,
You don't think art museum food?
No,
right? I
no,
don't know. It's just
you
not
don't.
museum food. Just doesn't sound like the thing. But
Sure.
Well,
That
that
was amazing.
cauliflower thing they had, it
was
looked
massive.
really good.
Yeah.
You guys are foodies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really
We're going to
are.
get
So
into
fun
that.
fact, fun fact about STL Bucket List. We started as foodies. We just wanted to highlight restaurants that we love to go to.
Yes.
Originally from St. Charles County, we moved to South City, and we wanted to highlight these local eateries that we had in our neighborhood that nobody talked about. Like if you go to Google search and you say restaurants near me, you get those same ones that pop up. But there's so many eateries in South City, all throughout the city, that we would go to that are absolutely amazing. And that's how we started the page. That was
That
4
is.
years ago.
Yeah, that's how we kicked it off. But we want to learn a little bit more about you guys and your start. So, Jam, we'll start with you if you want to go into your background a little bit. And are you St. Louis native and just your upbringing? And then Darren will switch over to you.
Yeah.
So I like to say I'm from San Francisco. That's where I was born and raised. And then in the 1990s, our family moved to Nevada, to Carson City. And that was because my husband, his family had a food manufacturing business called New Life Bakery. And they manufactured, for instance, Cliff Bar the first 10 years. And so they did all this private label food. And I'm an occupational scientist. I work with kids and work in development. And so I was in the food business because I had my therapy center at the bakery. So we had kids going down the hallways in scooter boards, people with autism running through the
Yeah.
break room, and a lot of good times. And then my husband and son started their own business. The family business kind of evolved or devolved, and they built their own equipment. And they had this idea of doing our own food brand. And so my husband and son were manufacturers. And so we had this product called the Fig Bar. And they mailed out samples to like 200 grocery stores. They just looked online and wrote a note, called up, maybe said, food buyer or something. And then they got $3 million of business that first year without doing a sales call, because
Wow.
they were food manufacturers, not salespeople. Where They knew nothing about brokers, slotting.
Sure.
But my husband just went and started selling Costco divisions.
Yeah.
And he basically built up the sales to $80 million.
Wow.
And then we
It's incredible.
came to St. Louis in 2014 because we
Okay.
needed more manufacturing space, and he was always looking ahead to selling more, but
Right.
you have to have capacity.
Yeah.
And so we came to St. Louis, we came to Hazelwood, and we went into old Pillsbury plant, and it was a company called Theodora. And they produced bakery for like in-store bakery. They had delivery. They had 100 employees. But the model was a rough model. They would order donuts at 11 a.m. and change the order at 3 p.m. And maybe there was 100 different products they were making. In the meantime, we put in our Fig Bar line. And so we had the 100 people. And so one day in 2015, November 12th, there was a fire in the building. And luckily no one was hurt, but it was like we had to rebuild. We had good insurance and good landlords, and we had $10 million worth of damage.
Yeah.
So everything got cleaned and remodeled, and we were still trying to get to know our workforce and our people. And they all got paid. They stayed home for the Christmas holidays. They had benefits. I guess apparently they didn't have benefits. And so we just kept building, and we built and built. And then in 2020, we sold the company to Kind Mars.
Wow.
Okay.
So-
Oh my
So the
gosh,
story
what
of
a
coming to
journey.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Why did you guys select St. Louis? Just because of the
Almost-
space?
Almost
It
10
was
years.
really random. My husband, he's the risk taker. I'm the scared one. I didn't even want him to be in his own business, right? And I wanted, I just wish he had a steady job, right?
It's a risk
It's
to
hard.
be an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
for
Entrepreneurship
sure.
is
And
hard.
people's lives,
Yeah.
because by the time we sold, we had 500 employees, 400 here in St. Louis and 100 in Nevada. So, like, if you screw up, you're screwing up a lot of
Everyone.
lives.
A lot of families. yeah.
And then even just all your vendors and everything, it radiates out. So he just heard from some sales guy randomly about this space that was kind of, in economic trouble. It was going to shut down. So he showed up in town, met with the bankers on a little yellow notepad, kind of signed in.
Yeah.
And that's how we came to St. Louis.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that story.
And it's my adopted city.
I didn't know that story. That's
It's
incredible.
your adopted city.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I kind of got serious. When we had the fire and I showed up, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
It looked like the Holocaust Museum, one section, and it's just shocking. Luckily, no one was hurt or anything. It was interesting when everyone had to evacuate, they were trying to get back in for their cell phones. But anyways, no lives lost. And it was a good way of really cleaning up the bakery and getting old equipment out. But it was really surreal because you had 300 serve pro people there, and it looked like something out of Star Wars because you didn't really have electricity anymore. You had, 3 inches of water had been in the bakery, and they were in these hazmat suits and, and scissor lifts, and it was just like this weird light, and they hand wiped 150,000 square feet.
Wow. And you rebuilt, and then
Yeah,
now you're
and
here.
better.
So
And better.
Darren, let's just talk about you for a little bit. That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
Just a little bit about your background, how you came to St. Louis, and a little bit about what you kind of did growing up and whatnot.
Yeah, so I'm from St. Louis. So pretty much I was raised like 5th grade, so raised here. And yeah, I would say I had a non-traditional background start to my career. When I was about 19 years old, I was like trying to figure out what to do with my life, and a lot of the people around me were getting locked up or other things, and so I had really like this passion to try and like create an alternative to like kind of what we had. And so I just started to volunteer in the city and just like, I didn't really know what to do. So I just gave people water actually. And then started talking to people. And then I started volunteering for this really cool group called Mission St. Louis. And they were like, I had no idea that you could have a job at a nonprofit. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't even, anyway. And so I asked him, I was like, how do you get a job here? Like, how do you work here? Like, how do you do this full time? And his response was, find something and make it work. So like, and so it actually like became like a huge piece, to how I continue to just kind of pursue my work in St. Louis is find something. So it's like the start of that was like listening. So I was like listening to guys in our community. And then I ended up starting this like Beyond Jobs program that's there at Mission St. Louis now out of my apartment initially.
Very good.
And then so I left there. My wife was like, yo, we're so young and we need to go do something like music or something. And so we both did music during that time, and I raised all this money, like $250,000, and we went on tour for like a year and a half. And I was like, this is not it. I don't want to do music. I want to like change the world.
Yeah.
And I came back to St. Louis. We came back when we were having our first kid from Southern California. And we started this program called Create a Loop, which teaches kids how to code. They build their own computers. And so then this guy, David Karandesh, came in and really helped us out. He had this company before, Answers.com, and he sold it. And then he really liked what we were doing, invested into it. And then so we started teaching kids how to code. So my whole like space was really in just like listening to like the community and trying to like design solutions where typically you see people go in and just like solve problems because they have all the answers. My focus was really about like building with the community, building up something that leveraging like their genius.
Yeah.
And then I started consulting and building. I work with like a lot of companies like Meta, IDEO, Block. And then I got introduced to Jan, and basically she was building they were building Nature's Bakery. She was actually taking it over as like the president at that time. And she really wanted to build this like trauma-informed workplace, which was like the coolest thing I had never heard of, by the way. I had theoretically tried to practice that, but like never seen a scientist, a doctor of occupational science, focus on it. And so when we met, it was really about figuring out how to help her retain her workforce. And so I came in as a consultant, and then we became like BFFs, and like we were like, oh, dude, this is so cool. And so we are super cool now. And so we went through a lot of journeys up and down with Nature's Bakery, and then I was like, hey, I'm gonna go visit Mexico, probably like our first couple months of meeting, and then the pandemic happened, and then I stayed in Mexico. So I've been in Mexico for like 4 years with my wife and kids.
Really?
I have a second kid, actually. They were born there. And I've been flying back into St. Louis.
You're still doing that now?
Pretty regularly. Yeah, I leave in December. And so we've been building, I mean, all over St. Louis and Nevada, and it's been really fun. Yeah, and so I've just kind of taken on this role part-time as like COO and get to help build this. So it's so fun.
Wow, that's great. You guys both have
Nice.
insane stories. I'm so glad I got to learn those. And I'm so
We
glad I
are
didn't know those
insane.
before because like now we come into this and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. We just learned so much about you two. So you guys got connected through that. So then how was Food City born? Was that out of what you guys were working on? You're like, we need to do this for more people than just my staff, or what? Tell us about the origin story of Food City.
Well, I mean, we always liked food. We were into food. And so my husband, I forgot to mention, after we sold the bakery, he could have like gone and played golf and built trains or something. He built another plant. We have another over 100,000 square foot plant in Hazelwood.
Okay.
And so we knew we were in food and we wanted to do things and just kind of backing up to serving our communities. When we sold the company, people got paid off or paid out. They got bonuses. But when you get really corporate, because Dave, my husband, and I, we set aside 10% of the company for the employees. That was like in, how we set things up. And then we got debt and we got other things, but the 10% was always for employees. Well, when you bring in professional management, when you bring those O's in, they pull down percentages, big percentages, like over 6% of the 10% is going to the O's. And then you're kind of like, what about all these other people? Or I'm like, what about Juan? What about Maria over in Carson City, Nevada? That was one of my biggest fights. I had to fight for some of, distribution there, but it was never going to be enough. And I knew that I wanted to do something for the people that got us where we were, because we're just like working class, regular people, right? And so we took the zip codes and we figured out all the zip codes of all the employees, the current employees when we signed out. And so made a commitment that we were going to give back to those communities where those people live, because it was also kind of coming and going. The workforce was not stable, it's transient. But wanting to do things to make change and give back. And we did a shopping center project and a library project. So then we had been doing some other things out in Nevada with autism and working on the Pyramid Lake reservation. But here we wanted to brand and do something. It kind of came from an idea from my son, because we're always visioning, and like we work together, we laugh our heads off. If people heard some of our conversation, they would be amused. I'm amused. So my son said, "Oh, you should do like a Shark Tank, so maybe you can start to kind of unpack the Food City."
Yeah, so Food City was basically like, so we knew that we wanted to take the expertise. My role, basically, which is really interesting, is like I'm kind of like this bridge. So I work with their family, who started this fund, basically. And then also, like, obviously working with the community and trying to be a bridge between the two. And on the family side, like, obviously the gifts of, like, food and understanding the food industry, understanding, like, how to grow business. But also, like, there was a lot already that they were doing philanthropically, like, through Feeding America and all these other avenues where they were giving back, like, so much into, like, trying to bridge, like, food gaps. And so we also helped this group here called Ojima when we had a fellowship program called Sprout, and we helped them start this program called George Washington Carver Farms, where we basically bought up like 6 vacant lots and a house, and he's building an entire farm. He's so cool. Anyway, and so with Food City, we were talking about how do we bring all these things together we knew we wanted to give back and invest. Her son was like, what if we do like a Shark Tank kind of thing? So this is where we started like ideating like this like campaign concept around like, okay, we know we don't want to just go in solving problems in St. Louis, because oftentimes what people do is they get a lot of resources, they go into a community and they tell everyone what they need to do to fix their community. And so instead of that, we wanted to like work backwards and say like, how do we create avenues and systems for like listening to the community and really build a community of people where we can constantly be listening. And then so when we're investing, we're doing it in alignment with like what the community is asking for, not what we think should happen. And so so we started with a survey. Actually, our whole grants project for us was all a survey. Like we had those multiple categories, and it's really because we wanted to like understand who existed within those categories. And so we're just compiling a lot of information right now, and we really just want to know like, what do people want? What do people need? What are they asking for? And then so next year, we're going to release a report. We got a docuseries that's actually coming out too. And so that'll coincide with the report and our data that we're getting. So that'll be some of the visual and observational analysis stuff that we gotten. And our goal is to then lay out what our plan is. So right now, we're just like notoriously annoying for telling people that we don't know what the next season of this is going to look like. Because really strategically, we want to be listening. So we do have exciting grants going out already.
Let's talk about them, because you guys just launched in July, right? Food City.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, publicly. We've been working on this for a minute. But publicly, we just launched. So we put together this grant package, and we really wanted to see if we could get, like, you know, people who are protecting our environment, which obviously is where our food is grown. We wanted to get food for our Food for All grant recipients are like these nonprofits, these organizations that are making sure that people who don't have access to food, whether they're living in food deserts or whatever, are getting access to food. So we wanted to find out who those people were. And then we have this like innovation grant where it was like, there's all these great ideas out there, and usually to like get to the next level is just like a bridge of capital. So you might be like selling your product or have this idea for a product that you're trying to get out of your house, or like maybe you're a nonprofit and you want to like kick off a new concept, or you're a restaurant and you want to like try your first CPG brand that you can like sell because you know that people love that product. So we really targeted that to understand like how we could help people be more innovative with capital. And then the last one is our growth grant, where our focus was like, who's already building here? Who's already selling products, and how can we help them grow? So that grant was like $75,000. They're gonna get $25,000.
Pop.
Yeah, so we selected Pop Array.
Tony,
oh my God,
they crush it. Yeah.
They are so cool. I had no idea who they were even before this project.
I've been seeing them pop up everywhere, like literally pop.
Literally
like everywhere.
pop up
They got
everywhere.
locations. They got locations everywhere.
They're doing great, man. I mean, like the part of what we're finding, like, and what we care about, obviously, in this ecosystem is like making sure that, you know, as people are growing, they're hiring people and we're building, you know, community and all these things. And so it's really cool too that they're actually, you know, we could be a part of that story with them. I mean, they're amazing.
So you guys have given $350,000 total in grants just this season.
Yeah,
you know,
so
just
at least.
So we committed to 150 publicly, but what we've done is everyone who's pitched, we decided we wanted to give them something. And so during the pitch competition, I kid you not, it's like Jan's right here, Dave, her husband's right here, and I'm like right here. And like we're listening to all these pitches, and Dave's like, I'm gonna give them $5,000 regardless.
Your Shark Tank
I'm gonna give
music's
them
like playing.
Yeah, which
in the
Shark Tank
background.
are you? What
Except
Shark
we're
Tank
not
are
even
you?
like Shark Tank. We're just like
You're giving
little
away
guppies.
everything.
We're just
Yeah,
like,
you're
oh,
like,
love you all.
guppies.
And your husband's just writing
Yeah.
checks. Dave's just like, I'm gonna write them a check because they're just so
Yeah,
sweet.
I'm
just
gonna
like,
You're
love
like
them.
Oprah. You get money. You
Yeah,
get
exactly.
Money.
I just
So who's Mr.
Yeah.
Wonderful, and then who's no? I'm just kidding. We don't have to
Yeah,
get into
I
it.
know. Well, I don't know. Jan, okay, sorry. I'm gonna pick on you for a second. So Jan, I love Jan so much. Okay, when
You
I
can
first
pick on me.
When I first met Jan, her husband was like, if you can get Jan to give you $1, you must be an expert.
I'm a little tight with money.
She's really, really good though. I mean,
cautious.
it's crazy. Is like she's like one of the biggest, obvious. I mean, she gives a lot of time and resources, but then also it's kind of like there's like this like value add, like the funding has to go to some. So what all the people that like kind of like shared, it was so easy to give to everyone because St. Louis is so unique. I love St. Louis so much because like every single business had like a social bend.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody cared about more than themselves and more than money.
Everybody's got a story too.
Yeah,
Everybody's
and
got
it's just
such a
so
unique
beautiful.
story.
It's just so cool to be here.
Yeah.
Which is the whole point of what you guys are doing, is to meet the needs of people and then help people who want to also help people. It's just like a full circle. Of
Yeah.
that.
And have opportunity, because like St. Louis, where we're positioned here for like food and manufacturing, it's centrally located in the U.S. And just looking, what we learned was about automation. How to solve the people problem is through automated equipment, which means better jobs and more opportunities. Like in the manufacturing plant, it could be real physical labor. Well, now with automation, you can have a disability. You could be a smaller person. So you're bringing these better jobs and opportunities.
It's going to be so interesting to see the impact of all of these grants and all of these, like just these 5 that I'm looking at right here, like how many more jobs in St. Louis they create. And a lot of these, like I love that they're community builder, growth, innovation, promise, food equity, climate, and sustainability. Like you guys are hitting all those.
Yeah.
But you also have the micro grants, you have the matching funds.
Yeah.
Like you guys are just giving out, like you said, you pledged 150, but you're giving out almost $500,000.
We had to create new categories because
you had to find ways.
Yeah.
Because we looked at these 20 people and, they got up there. They had guts. They were in different levels and places, but we saw like a spark in everyone, and we wanted to encourage people to take those chances. So we made research and development. Like some you were like, in your mind, I would like, is this going to work? Is it not? You're just thinking through critically. Yeah. But it was like, let's give them a matching development grant, a research to take it to that next level.
So with Food City, so what you guys are doing, you're getting in the community. Somebody that we had on the podcast, Keisha Mabry.
Yeah.
You guys tell her about her role and like what she's doing in St. Louis is incredible. She was one of the best interviews that we've had on the podcast. So just tell me about her. And
not
she
surprised.
is the best.
She's the best. Yeah. So Keisha is, I mean, everyone who knows Keisha gets it, I guess. She loves the community.
Friends.
She's friends.
Hey,
okay.
Darren.
When I first met Keisha, actually, she was working on like this challenge of like meeting 100 people or something.
She told us about it.
Sounds right. Yep.
Yeah, and I met her at Venture Cafe, and I just thought she was like the coolest. Like she was so like bubbly. I was like, what the heck? Like you're just up here just talking to people like this, And it was just super cool. But like getting to know her and like her vision for like for community and just for people, and how much she loves people and creating safe spaces for people. And she really is like a motivator, like sitting down with her one-on-one or in a crowd. And so when we had this kind of opportunity open up around community manager, we made it public. We allowed people to apply. Keisha applied or submitted a proposal. And I was like, Keisha, what? Like, can you do this right now? You're so like busy. Like
she is.
And she challenged me on that. I like love that because like who am I to say that, And so I gave it another look, and I talked to Jan, and she was like, "Oh my God, this would be amazing if she says yes." Yeah. So we were like actually really pursuing her at that point.
It was great for our brand.
Yeah, like it was great. Like she would already.
I remember when you announced that. That was huge. I was
we knew that what we wanted was somebody who the community could trust, like, and somebody who could be in the community, who could host our community events, and that people would see and feel like welcome.
Yeah.
And so like Keisha makes everyone feel welcome.
Of course.
And so we knew that we just needed that energy, that sense of like belonging, because our whole theme is like food for all, right? And like we want to reflect our entire city. And then she really does that well. So we asked her to be a part of our team. And ever since then, I mean, it's been amazing. So she hosts monthly pop-ups for us with food entrepreneurs. We give out monthly grants for like $500. We bring in food and a huge, beautiful kind of pop-up event. We get the venue. And yeah, we really just try and hype up. And those are really for our like smaller communities. And a part of that is like, we believe like the people closest to like where the challenges are happening will be closest to the solution. So we really want to stay really embedded into the community from the beginning.
And they self-organize. You bring people together, and then we came up with this a long time ago that we wanted to serve the community. We weren't going to. We're not even here all the time. We're not going to reinvent something. We always wanted to go alongside what was working, what the community needed and wanted, and then get out of their way.
Yeah, let them do
And the
it.
events that you guys do is special too, like getting people together. I've seen videos and pictures of your events. I saw you guys saw Chef JR recently. You guys were over at Rated.
No,
He's
so
different.
good.
He's like 21. He's been a guest on the show too.
Yeah.
He's killing
amazing.
it. So entrepreneurs, like I'm an entrepreneur, I have been for 4 years, and we all face similar challenges in different industries, but especially in the food industry at this moment right now. And like not only is capital an issue for most of these businesses, but labor is a huge issue for some of these businesses. Labor, being able to help people with whether it be with being more efficient with their labor, growing into bigger spaces so that they can keep up with manufacturing. Like you guys are doing these surveys for people, but also these entrepreneurs. So tell us about some of those learnings that you guys are going through and what you guys are finding and what ways that you guys can kind of help.
Yeah, we're still listening. We're still getting these surveys in. We'll be collecting them through the end of the year at least. But so far, again, like you said, capital has been a huge challenge. Workforce. Also just like insurance. We found like a lot of our people are underinsured. They feel underpaid. We've been surveying the employees too, right? Like people who work for these entrepreneurs. And I think that it is really interesting because it's not unique to this industry. It's kind of just where we are in the world right now. And so I think that with these entrepreneurs, though, one of the most beautiful things that it does feel like we're seeing is that they're kind of finding community within each other. And then they're sharing resources and sharing space. Like literally, we've been to so many spaces where like, oh, I cook out of there too, And so, and so it's just really interesting that where there is limitation, there's also innovation. And so we see that often, all the time. And so, but at the same time, we do recognize like these actual needs and these gaps that the entrepreneurs are having. And without formally committing to like how we will help overcome those challenges, because we want to spend that time to listen, I think that we will say is that our focus is capacity building, meaning like how can we come alongside the people who are doing things and help them to either lean out their some of these research and development grants is about helping you to lean out your cost so you can figure out how to do this cheaper and you can pay people maybe more on your team, right? And so so there's ideas that we're hoping that through both funding and through mentorship and through resources, through connections, but really like all within the context of community, that we can bring people together and invest into them and build them up. More so, again, like focus on their capacity building versus like directly going in and trying to, like Jan said, we like to get out of people's way. Yeah.
But how you're going to scale up. So that's where like the Marson family, people can benefit from our learnings. And, we've made so many mistakes, but they've been real like learning opportunities. So the whole food safety, all those regulations, how you keep things, this is people, their lives, their health, packaging, like learning about that, how to be protecting your name and your product. So, and then also thanking the workforce. One of my favorite parts of this whole project was thank your local. So like one of mine was like, thank your local farmer, thank your local lunch lady. Just think those lunch ladies are touching people's lives. They're part of the food
chain or whatever.
Ecosystem.
Yeah.
And then, you hear about the food deserts, we kind of know where they were or are. And then I was saying to him, and there's coffee droughts. There's places where
we need
coffee access. So we want to.
There's places that have
coffee.
surplus of coffee in St. Louis. We
Yeah.
have some great
Totally.
coffee houses in St. Louis.
Totally.
But you're
Coffee
right though.
drought.
I mean, you
love
take
that.
that for granted though. You take a good cup of coffee. You take our like where we live. Like we have access to almost everything that we could ever want. And all these amazing restaurants.
Yeah.
And we've been places, and I think what you guys are doing is inspiring. So people, how can the people that listen? We have a lot of young listeners. We have a lot of entrepreneurs that follow our show as well. But like through the end of the year, you guys are still doing the survey. So you want people to go hit that survey. Is there any other way that we can help? Any other way that our listeners can help out?
It is that survey. So going to Food City STL and going to that survey and then passing it along to different people you know that are preparing food, making food, interested in food, interested in serving our communities. Getting everyone just deserves it. Just feels like a total right for people to be having healthy, nourishing food.
Yeah, and I think too is like just getting plugged into the community. We'll continue to have these monthly events throughout next year. We'll actually double it with all these. We've given all these like $1,000 plus we'll throw an event for you grants, and so getting connected to those events. And part of the reason for that is that we're really hoping to like get community connected to these organizations, get them connected to these entrepreneurs, so that they can start to test their customer and they can start to expand their customer base. Like if you really look at a lot of our challenges with whether it be entrepreneurs or nonprofits, is just getting more awareness about who they are. And one of the best ways that especially young people can get involved is to go frequent these places, to go check these places out, share their story, share content there, and then also like go to our events, please. And then also, at some point we're gonna have opportunities for people to sign up and volunteer through some of our network of like farmers and people around. They need help, They need so much help.
There is going to be a farming renaissance here.
There's so many farmers in the north side,
and opportunity.
No, the
so
urban
cool.
farming that's going on the north
Right.
side, and then even I saw City Greens Market. We had Lacey over there from the team on City
Yes.
Greens and what they do to support local farmers and
Yeah.
everything, right there in the Grove, like,
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
right there,
Yeah.
And
I
that's,
remember they were like in a church in a basement. That used to be my old neighborhood.
she told us the story. Yeah. No,
Everything grows here so nice.
Yeah.
It is. St. Louis is, and we're such a foodie town. I hear this from people that visit here, like musicians have been on, like commented on our page, and they're like, man, I didn't know St. Louis's food was so good. Like we punch above our weight when it comes to these restaurants and some of these places. And you guys are in these different cities, like you said, California, like Reno, and all these different places, Carson, and all that. Like they have great restaurants, but like St. Louis has so many thoughtful entrepreneurs that really give back here too. A lot of people that you guys work with.
Ethnic array.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For being in the middle of the U.S., it's crazy how much, like, we can go anywhere. Like, I saw Brazil on here. Like, you can go wherever you want here in St. Louis.
I heard that King and I might be not around anymore. Is that real?
King and I moved to Brentwood. So
they're alive.
they're
still.
alive. They
They're
reopened.
they're still going.
King
They
and
just
I.
changed
Good.
location.
Oh
And
my God.
they were at that location for
They
years.
moved to Brentwood.
But
So they're like, you can go
I
there. Yeah.
All right, so on South Grand, they used to have, like, before they did all this, like, update, the King and I used to have, like, this big
Dining
circle pit that you would go sit into a pit, and you would sit down, like, on the
old
floor.
school style,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
you share
Were
at
they
a table.
like jousting and stuff?
No,
there?
like, there was, no, they were just, like,
Like,
it was
I know
like
what
a
you
pit,
mean.
and you would sit on the floor.
Like houses back in like the 70s used to have like the conversation pits.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
you would
Yeah.
go down. It was the coolest.
But then you would
also-
like eat, like you're like eating on the floor.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah. It was so cool.
That's
Anyway, I love that place. Anyway, sorry.
That's
not-
awesome.
not that-
So before we
Bucket
wrap
list.
up, I want to talk about some of your guys' favorite spots in St. Louis. You mentioned you live in the Hill. You mentioned South Grand. Like when you're coming back, because you guys aren't here all the time. So when you get here, you have to hit some spots. When you're here, you got to eat at some
Totally.
places. Like
Ooh,
I don't know if
don't
you
do
want to live
this.
anybody out, but like if you want to say some of your favorite neighborhoods that you travel to, maybe your bite that you always get when you're in town. Like just shout out a couple of your faves.
Ugh. Okay, well, hands down, favorite place of all time is Sameem's.
Oh, some
In the Grove, in the
Yes,
Grove,
sir.
the Afghan restaurant.
Yeah.
I had that for Thanksgiving dinner this year.
I
love that spot.
It.
I used to bring people there all
Great
the
spot.
time, and he's just been so cool,
Mm-hmm.
faithful to the community, and then faithful to our taste buds.
There you
So
go.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So I guess the hill, you can just walk all around and eat your way through the hill.
Yeah.
Fiddlehead Fern is a favorite of mine.
I'm obsessed. I
Darcy,
crave the
the tomato
salad
soup.
and the tomato soup daily. Like,
Oh
oh
my
my
God.
gosh.
It's so-
and
and
I'm
it's such a
so
cute
sad
spot,
because
too.
it
It's so
closes at
cute.
like 2 and I don't get off work till 2:30.
Yeah.
And I'll drive home and I'm like, oh, damn, I really need some
Yeah.
Fiddlehead Fern.
Yeah.
Weekend spot for me. But yes, it's
Yeah, I
so
love
good.
that. And Union Loafers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a to-go person
Amazing,
with the
amazing.
salads, the little gem salad, and then I order extra bread and butter plus a loaf. But you have to
Pre-order
get
the loaf.
online.
You
I
gotta
mean,
get that early. Yep, if you really want
Their
it.
trout salad sandwich they only do on Saturdays is unbelievable.
So
so their bread.
Yeah.
We were going to Italy one day. I got their bread and brought it to Italy. Even
Wow.
though Italians
tip.
feel like they
Yeah.
have the best and they are the
Were
best.
you like, you gotta try this because this shit's good?
Yeah,
Is that-
exactly.
Yeah, it was delicious.
Yeah, it's so good. Those are great spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. It's so hard. Like you said, there's so many places. Like we always have your rotation spots. where
Oh
you're
yeah, I
I'm
could
going-
like
Yeah.
keep going. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, what, corner 17?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm so
Yeah,
hungry.
so many good spots. I'm already
Yeah.
thinking about food right now.
I know.
Well, just to wrap us up, and you guys can just like a real quick way in 30 seconds or a minute, just kind of like go through Food City and like your guys' mission statement. And I know that's ever changing because you guys are so new, but like in 30 seconds or a minute, if you could go through the mission statement and kind of leave people with something to think about.
That's on you.
Okay, well,
Let's get it.
I'll get it as
Yeah.
quick as I can.
It could be more. Yeah,
All right, I'll go as fast. So our goal with Food City ultimately is to create space where people can thrive in this food ecosystem. So that means that we want people to be able to eat food, like quality food within their neighborhoods. We want to take all this amazing food that's available and make it accessible to people who don't have access to it. And then we want to also do the same for these entrepreneurs and like seeing the value that they actually create in our community and for our community and the way that they really put St. Louis on the map. And creating space for them to thrive as well. So giving them the attention that they need while at the same time really, really focusing on the residents and listening to them. So our focus is food for all. We want to make sure everybody eats. We all gonna eat, and to make sure that we do that in the most dignifying way as possible. That people at the end of all of this feels like we made it together. Not that somebody did it for them, not that somebody came in and did it all, but that we all just built this together. And so that is, I think, our main focus.
Yeah, voice and choice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
Thank you guys.
Well, Food City, Jan and Darren, you guys were great. Thank you so much for coming on episode 94.
Yeah, we'll drop all the tags. We're gonna encourage people to fill out that survey, and hopefully we're gonna see you guys at some events. Maybe
Are you
we'll
gonna
be
come
at
to our party?
I mean,
We're gonna go to yours.
yeah, I think
Come.
I think I just got the
party
invite. I
anytime.
think I got the invite from the Pat and Co team. So I gotta check. There's so many Christmas parties going on right now, holiday parties. Let's go. She's just like, yes, there's a lot
oh
of
my
parties.
God, yeah. You guys
like, another
agree
party?
if you're
There are a
going.
lot of
It's like,
parties,
yeah.
and I am like, which can I make and which am I sitting out? That's
Totally.
where we're at.
I'm excited for it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for your time and
Well,
for coming
thanks.
into the
No, thank
studio.
you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
You were
we'll see you
great.
guys soon. See you guys next week.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.